Welcome to Fabutude.
That's Fabutude.
Yes.
Fabutude is a podcast where we help you find your fabulous attitude. Think of us as your fab besties or fabbies.
Each month, we'll dive into a fresh mini-series, dishing out a new episode every week, jam-packed with entertaining trivia, whimsical segments, and tantalizing tidbits.
And once you've found your Fabutude, be sure to connect with us on social media via the link in our description or by searching Fabutude.
Welcome to the third episode of this month's fabulous mini-series theme, Pride. We love to start with a word of the week.
Yeah, so what is the word of the week this week, Wynn?
I'm excited for this one. So the word of the week is straight pride parade.
Okay, well, that's sounds a little loaded. Let's get a definition.
Yeah, so on January 8th of 2012, someone by the username Jules88 submitted a definition of straight pride parade to Urban Dictionary. Heterosexuals confine themselves to a small portion of a town or city so that gays can have a nice time in the rest of the town. Their sample sentence was, Lisa, I'm going to the straight pride parade tomorrow. Are you coming? Barbara, no, I'm going to take advantage of the absence of straight people by having a romantic picnic in the park with my girlfriend. Joe, hey, Greg, can you help us with the float for our straight pride parade? Greg, no, I want to see if straight people can manage to put together a parade without the help of any gay people.
Well, the gays really know how to do it. We've had a little bit of practice, you know. So those were funny sentences, sample sentences. We should try to use this word in our own sentence. What do you think, Wynn?
Yeah, okay. I would totally attend and support a straight pride parade. I mean, my mom is straight, so I'd love to go and support her.
Love that.
So, I guess in terms of straight pride, I've been to a lot of different pride festivals, parades. I think you have too, Stephan.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What would you think about, attending one? Would you?
I guess I would attend it, just to kind of get a look-see, be a fly on the wall and see what it's all about, but it might be one of those one and done kinds of things. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to one yet. If I got invited, I think I'd go. Why not?
Take your mom, like you did to New York Pride.
Yeah, she's come to Pride with me. Why can't I do that? Absolutely.
I love it.
So that certainly gives us a lot to think about with the phrase straight pride parade. On the note of pride parades, it's time to move on to the next part of our show, where we're joined by some super special guests.
Yes, we're thrilled to welcome Freddy Lopez, the treasurer of Las Vegas Pride Board, and Anthony Cortez, the co-founder and executive director of Henderson Pride.
Yes.
These two are immersed in the organization and execution of the Pride parades and festivals in their respective organizations. And we will share their unique insights. We will ask them to share their unique insights with us. It's going to be a conversation you won't want to miss. So welcome, Freddy and Anthony, to Fabutude.
Welcome to the show today. Yes.
Hi. Glad to be here.
Love that. So happy you could make it. How are you doing today?
Doing well. I've been looking forward to this interview all day. Just kind of excited to get into it and, get the conversation going.
Great. What about you, Anthony? How are you today?
Great. I'm actually about to leave to Latin American Pride tomorrow, so I'm like anxious to get out of here.
Oh, that's amazing.
But I want to share much as I can with my experience with prides and being involved with multiple organizations in Southern California and Nevada.
Yeah, we love that. Great.
That brings us to a good starting point for our first question. And
okay, you want to go ahead?
Let's start with you, Anthony. What pride specifically do you organize?
I'm one of the founders and executive director of the International Cultural Movement for Equality, which was founded in 2019. Our signature event is Henderson Pride, which is we launched it actually was supposed to launch 2020, but we ended up launching 2021 because of the pandemic, of course. But I've been involved now for 3 years. We just hosted our 3rd annual event, so that's the main pride that I'm involved with is Henderson Pride.
Wow,
Great.
thank you. And how about yourself, Freddie?
So Las Vegas Pride actually engages with our community on a monthly basis with a number of events. So you can find Pride events throughout the year at our weekly pool parties, which we are hosting now at the Sahara on the Strip.
Definitely love that party.
Yeah.
Been there a few times.
They've been wonderful to us. It's a great venue, and it's more intimate, and it just feels a lot more. It's a great time. Second to that, we also have our monthly Pride Outside hikes, our monthly Pride Family Bingos. We have the Parade and Festival in October. That's on October 6th and 7th this year. And this year, we are celebrating our 40th anniversary for Las Vegas Pride. So we are excited to have everyone out there celebrating with us. And yes, our Pride Festival does coincide with National Coming Out Day, and also coincides with Las Vegas not being so hot. Well, whenever we're there. So we actually have a really nice piece in our magazine that just came out as to why our Pride is in October. So it does go over NCOD, the weather, and some other mitigating factors that have kind of pushed us into celebrating in October. But we've been doing it in October for many years, and it's been a great success every year. And then lastly, we also have our Pride magazine. So that comes out on a bi-monthly basis, and it's available online, but also it's the longest running LGBTQIA plus magazine in circulation still, and it's a piece of art. It really is a wonderful magazine, so check it out.
Definitely love it.
Between both of you, that's plenty of pride for our community. I love that.
Snaps for Henderson Pride and for Snappy.
Yes.
What does Snappy mean, Freddie?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm glad you brought it up. A lot of people are confused when they see either our nonprofit determination letter, our filings online with the IRS or with the state. Snappy is actually the Southern Nevada Association of Prides Incorporated. So that is our official name. Our DBA, i.e. our doing business as, our local name, which everyone knows us as, is Las Vegas Pride. So when you see Snappy, you are referring to Las Vegas Pride, but it's a lot, I think it's a lot more kosher to say Las Vegas Pride than Snappy and just think we're all just walking around snapping our fingers and not knowing what the heck it means,
Which there might be a lot of finger snapping. But
a lot, especially during the Parade Festival. So
Pride in all caps. You go. All right. So what has been the largest Pride that you guys have each organized? I know we'll start with Freddie on this one.
Okay, sure. So in 2019, we had teamed up with a local venue here in downtown Las Vegas, and we saw in attendance, we had over 10,000 people, not only at our parade. Normally that tracks anywhere between 10 and 15,000 people that come down just for our parade. During the festival that year, we also had 10,000 people at our venue. So at the festival celebrating. And so that was really big for us. Second to that, though, and it's not, in any one space or any one space or point in time. Another large event that we have that recurs every single month is on our website and our magazine, where we get 60,000 visitors to our magazine and our website on a monthly basis. So it's a huge database. It's a huge network of people that are interested in seeing what Snappy or Las Vegas Pride is up to, what they can get involved in, and how we're working to amplify the voices of the LGBTQIA plus community here in town, and also Southern Nevada in general.
Love it. Yeah, 2019 was a magnificent Las Vegas Pride. Definitely one for the books. So I could see how that was the biggest.
Yeah.
What about you, Anthony? I know that you said It's been only a few years since Henderson Pride has been around, but you've also been involved in other other prides as well. What's the biggest one you've ever hosted?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in regards to Henderson Pride, this was just our third annual event, which just happened this last May the 6th. It was on Water Street. We had well over 1,000 people. It was a beautiful event. 2 years prior to that, we were hosting it in Lake Las Vegas. And with our partnership with the city and our relationships, we decided to do it on Water Street. So it is grassroots. We are still growing. We've gotten a lot of community support. And yeah, year after year, we're looking at expanding and including a parade possibly next year. This year was just a festival, one-day festival, but we have events that coincide with our Pride event as well. Each year we do a Pride Night at Cowabunga Bay. We had about 2,500 people for that event this last month. Usually that happens on Memorial Day weekend to kick off Pride Month. And as I mentioned earlier, that was something that we partnered this year with Las Vegas Pride. Las Vegas Pride, since our inception, have been very supportive and helping us get any resources we need together to make our event happen for the community. So we're really thankful for that and all the acceptance. So yeah, so that's Henderson Pride. I mean, I've been involved with Christopher Street West. When I lived in West Hollywood, I was actually for 3 years the creative director and handled all of the decor for all the stages. Oh my goodness. It just, they gave me, they would give us a budget and my team would help facilitate pretty much the installation of all the decor for LA Pride in West Hollywood.
Love it. And how many people was your biggest one there? Do you remember?
My goodness. Wow, they get over 100,000 people. Yeah, it's pretty huge. I mean, through a 3-day weekend and all the festival and what they do with the parade, they get a big turnout for sure.
That's amazing. And that collaboration event at Cowabunga Bay was really well executed. Great job to both of your organizations.
We love it.
Did you come win?
I did. I was there in my swimsuit.
Oh,
barely a swimsuit.
So my next question, I'll field this to you first, Anthony. What inspired you to serve the community on a Pride board?
Let's see. Coming out, my 20s, I was always involved in our community, and it wasn't till I really got involved with more nonprofits in Los Angeles, working with LA Shanti and the Gay and Lesbian Center there and other organizations. And I had launched an award show for the gay and lesbian community there that ran for almost 10 years. I started getting involved again with Pride events. Again, it was really with LA Pride and Christopher Street West. But also back in, I want to say, 2005, there was a land pride that was launched in Los Angeles, which was pretty successful. And, it happens with a lot of pride. Sometimes the boards break up and then there ended up being 2 land prides. But anyhow, I was instrumental in working with all those different prides and getting a lot of experience. And when I came out here to Vegas in 2016, for a gig, I just kind of fell in love with the city and the community. I started working out in Lake Las Vegas, had a few clients, and I just thought it was such a beautiful place to bring a pride and an elevated experience for our community, and that's where Henderson Pride was born.
I love that.
Decided to do a pride, which would be like a sister pride to Las Vegas. They do, as Freddie mentioned, they do it in the fall. We decided to do it in the spring each year in May, when the weather's a lot cooler. So yeah, it's been a great experience and very rewarding to see something like this happen for our community.
That's a powerful Pride story. I love that. And Freddie, what inspired you to serve the community on a Pride board?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I'd like to echo back to what Anthony was saying. It truly provides a sense of fulfillment and excitement to see our voices as one community amplified whenever we come together to put these events together for the community at large. So for me, it was specifically realizing that all of these events that I was going to, being born and raised here in Las Vegas, when I started, when I came out and I have started becoming more active within our community, realizing that there was a lot of work that it took to put these events together. And then also being close to some of the individuals that were helping organize and run the organization at that time opened my eyes to see how much work truly goes into organizing these events, and not just a parade festival, or I'm sorry, not just a Pride festival or parade, but all of the ongoing monthly and even weekly events such as we have now. So it was truly the realization that it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work to make these events happen, and for Pride organizations like like all of ours to exist. And so knowing that there's always going to be this kind of vacuum, right, where there's someone that's needed to help participate, help execute these events, that's where I could really step into that space and say, hey, I am here to provide whatever help, resource, advice, labor that I can, and all with the end goal of just making sure that we have a place and a voice within our community.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah, it's nice when we can come together and, celebrate our cultures, our lives, like how far we've come. And there's always somebody that needs to be there and organizing all of it. So thank you guys for your leadership, and we appreciate that. This is kind of like a two-part question for you guys. What has been your biggest challenges, and how do you address it? And then also, has there ever been a contentious situation within that, with one of your prides, and how did you guys handle that? We'll start there with you, Anthony, first on this one. Or sorry, with Freddy first on this one.
I mean, Anthony can go first if he wants.
We'll go with Freddy.
Okay. Alrighty. So I think the one of the largest order, the tallest order that we have within our organization is getting the community at large to understand that it takes a lot of work to make Pride and our events happen. We are all at Las Vegas Pride, we are all volunteers, and we are continuously working to amplify the voice of our community throughout Southern Nevada. And we're constantly working toward visibility and inclusion of all of those touched by the LGBTQIA+ umbrella, if you will. So for us, our biggest challenge has been that getting the community to understand that while we are working these roles as if they were part-time and full-time positions at times, and for certain individuals, we're all volunteers. We all have our own professional lives, our own personal and social lives outside of that work life. And then on top of that, we're still dedicating time and resources to our organization to make our events and this space for us exist. So so it's just nice when that is recognized, or when that's known, because then people understand, hey, this is something, again, for the community, put on by members from our community, and it's not just a big corporate event or where someone or some entity is benefiting from all of the the fruits of our labors.
Yeah, everybody's benefiting.
Absolutely.
The community.
Yeah. There's enough love, time, and space for everyone, and if it's really nice to just be able to come together to work towards something that we can all benefit from and enjoy. And it's truly a wonderful experience.
I love that sentiment.
And has there ever been a contentious situation on with your pride?
Girl.
Anyone that comes to mind, and how you solved it?
I think it's I mean, as with any organization and any unit that deals with interpersonal relationships, right? There's always going to be numerous occasions where something might come up, and how did we handle it? But more specifically, there are also events and factors outside of our control that happen that ultimately can affect our end goal or what our vision and our mission are.
True.
And so for Las Vegas Pride, thinking back specifically a couple years back, I can think of an event where during during Pride Month, there was there was an entity, there was a business, there was some kind of campaign that was being ran by an organization or a company where they were giving away free food, free food and drinks. And they thought they were being cute with their slogan, and they said something along the lines of "Homo estás," which is supposed to relate to the Spanish version of "Como estás," meaning "How are you?" or "How are you doing?" And so when they were running their "Homo estás" campaign, I think there were more than a few members of our community that seemed to take offense to that, or felt like they were just using it as kind of like a corporate ploy to bring in what we call pink dollars, LGBTQIA plus dollars. And so we got a lot of we got a lot of pushback from the community because people assume that Las Vegas Pride and everything Pride related that happens during Pride Month has to do with us. And so we had to address it, and we did. Again, we're a volunteer board, and so we bring together a lot of really great minds that are behind all of our planning and events. And we decided that the best course of action for that specifically was going to be not to give it any more life. Let it die down, let that entity take its seat. And whenever anyone addressed it, as if it were regarding Pride, we would let them know this has nothing to do with Pride. There is a separation here. And then we just moved on. And sometimes it's better to just let things die and not give it any more, not breathe any more new life into it. So that's one occasion that I can think of.
All right. And how about yourself, Anthony? Any moments, any contentious situations in your Pride, and also what has been your biggest challenge?
Hi, I'm back. Sorry, I actually my phone heated up and it turned off, and I just got back on. So,
no worries.
I might. Can you hear me? Okay?
Yep, we can hear you. Okay.
Okay. Well, I think it's pretty well known in the community the challenges that we faced, which I don't want to get into. It's unfortunate that sometimes there's people wanting to work against you, I guess is all I want to say is, and it's unfortunate. But that's something that's kind of ongoing, and we're trying to resolve. And again, sometimes challenges come within your own community, and it's very disheartening and sad, if you will, when those things happen. However, we've chosen to take the high road, and it only made our relationship with all the other organizations in our community a lot stronger. We are excited to keep moving forward in a positive light and stick with our mission. In general, challenges, I would say, being a new nonprofit, a new event, grassroots, 100% volunteer, having to raise funds for the first time in a community that I was fairly new to, including some of our board members, and going from 3 board members to now we're at 6. But our team has also grown. We have almost at least 22 people actively working on our team, and producing and bringing events actually throughout the year now. Kind of like what Las Vegas Pride does, not at the same level, but it's I guess that's what the challenge was, just really just being new and learning and having a vision and seeing that come to fruition, and building those relationships in our community that are so important to help one another. And so it's been a little journey, but I'm a tough cookie.
Yes.
Thank you both for sharing so candidly. We'll start with Anthony for this one. What is one thing that most people just do not know about the inner workings of Pride that you would like them to, kind of like pulling back the curtain, how the magic happens?
Wow. I mean, I guess there's a lot just in general. If people don't know what it takes to bring an event of that scale to the community, there's just a long list of things. It's this year for the first time, I think one of the things that we learned and weren't really aware of, actually being a nonprofit, and hosting our event instead of in a facility, in a venue like Las Vegas, where everything went through, our whole food and beverage went through the Hilton, hosting it on Water Street, and having us to for the first time pull all our permits and our own liquor license. I guess one of the things that we learned was, I don't want to say how easy, but it I guess it was to be able to attain our own liquor license, and to be able to host, this event outside of a private property, and doing it on Water Street was a great experience and learning experience, and in a lot of positive ways.
Well, I think that's really great advice, especially for starting out prides, or smaller prides that are nervous about branching out and growing in certain ways. And Freddie, what is one thing that you'd sort of like to kind of teach people about the inner workings of Pride? How the
Absolutely.
magic's made.
There's a few things, and I'll make them quick. Primarily, again, that we are an all volunteer-based organization. Our annual budget, is comprised of donations, whether they're corporate or not, just nonprofit donations that we receive, and that's how we run most of our operations. In addition to our fundraisers, like our monthly bingos. So there's that. All the decisions that are made by Las Vegas Pride for our events, our relationships, anyone that we partner with or that we co-brand with on their events or their organizations, those are all board approved decisions. So while there are smaller decisions that are made by the executive team, for the most part, all of the major decisions are made board wide. And so we all have input and provide feedback to the direction of our organization at any time. And then lastly, it's really nice to know that we have activations and engagements with other sister Pride organizations. So we have a travel program where people go to other prides, such as San Diego, sometimes the smaller prides, in Northern Nevada, et cetera, et cetera. And we will help them, by volunteering at their prides, at their, whatever their venues are, whatever their fundraisers are, whatever their events are, we will go out and we will try and help them, kind of with some reciprocity in mind, that they will, in turn come and help us with ours when the time comes. So in addition to everything else that we do throughout the year, I think those are three really important components to our organization and how we operate internally.
That's really cool.
You guys work with Pahrump Pride, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, when there are smaller prides that need love and support that a larger organization or a more experienced organization can provide, even for instance, like Anthony's organization, there are things that we co-brand with that we will help market for them, advise, for permitting, licensing, insurances, stuff like that. When we can provide that advice and that guidance, we're happy to do so, because again, our end goal is to not just here in Southern Nevada, but anyone that needs the help, to amplify the voice, visibility, and inclusion of our community.
So, Stephan, you have my favorite question, I think, to ask to our
Yes.
panelists
Okay,
today.
so our word of the day today was straight pride parade. So let's get each of your thoughts on that. And who would like to go first?
I would
All
love
right.
to take this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Toyotathon starts on November 14th. So No. In all seriousness, though, you know, straight pride is, it's something that we hear about all the time, and our position on it is that, for Las Vegas Pride, for all of the different sectors of our community that we come together to celebrate, we're celebrating a culture that we've developed for ourselves in order for our in order to bring together all of the different efforts that we make, again, and I keep saying this, to amplify the voice, the visibility, and the inclusion of our community. It's tough because we're not the arbiters of who can have pride or who cannot, and who can have events and who cannot. But if you think about it, straight culture is being celebrated every single day that they exist. And they are, straight people are not historically marginalized or oppressed, or protected class or group of people, whereas members of our LGBTQIA plus community are. And so that's why we have our pride events, to celebrate our differences and the similar characteristics that bring us together. So that's my position in our organization's view on straight pride.
All right. How about yourself, Anthony?
I will echo all of what he just said.
including Toyotathon. I'm just kidding.
Yes. And yeah. I mean, it's it is what it is. I mean, we're proud of how far we've come, obviously, as a community, and it's I don't know, I guess maybe it's almost flattering. I don't know, but we, if anything, we just stick with our allies and stay in our own lane and continue to celebrate diversity. And that's what our mission is.
Oh, I love that.
All right. Thank you so much, Freddy and Anthony, for shedding some light on, Pride in your organization, your past with Pride, all the fun stuff. We definitely learned a bit more today, and we're excited, to move on to our next segment with you guys. This is something we call Dear Fabby, and you want to give them the deets on it, Wynn?
Yeah, so this has been a much anticipated segment. So there's a famous anonymous advice column, Dear Abby, where people would write in and ask for, people's opinions. And so this is Dear Fabby, right?
Our own fabulous spin on it.
Yeah, so we'll be answering some of our listeners' questions. And so to our Fabbies out there, if you've sent in your dilemmas or asks for advice from us for some reason, buckle up. It's time for Dear Fabby.
Yeah.
So our first Fabby in crisis is called First Timer. So they are a first-time Pride attendee, and they want to ask someone they have a crush on to join them, but they don't know how.
Any advice, Anthony? We'll let you go first, and then we'll answer.
Well, I would say maybe just surprise them with tickets to Pride. And I'd break the ice that way.
That's cute.
That's super cute. I like that. What would you do, Stephan?
Maybe put him in a little rainbow envelope and hand him the tickets, see what he says.
Oh my gosh, my answer's yes.
Or she, or whoever it may be.
You got Wynn, so he's hooked. I would say, I would just ask them. I'd be like, hey, Pride's coming up. You want to join me, probably some of my friends, bring some of your friends and family. Let's make a whole little celebration of it. I like his idea better, though, with the tickets and you just hand them.
So me, I'm a little bit more complicated. I have to make things more challenging. So I'd probably do something like, oh, do you want to go shopping with me to Home Depot or to some fabric store? Because I get really overwhelmed there and I need to pick out glitter for Pride.
Uh-huh.
And then as we're shopping for glitter, I'd be like, what color is the best glitter for you? What should you wear? What should I wear? And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, let's go to Pride together and be fabulous.
We'll put our glitters on. Love it.
Yeah.
Cute. Okay, well, there you go, first timer. You will definitely get some ideas from all those different little tidbits. So now we have the doting dad, and doting dad wants to take their child to Pride, but is not sure if they are old enough or how to explain Pride to them. Freddie, how would you handle this situation? What would you tell doting dad to do?
Right. I can sympathize with this question only because I am an uncle to 7 nieces and nephews, and some of which have come to some of our Pride festivals. And this question was on the minds of my sisters and my brothers. And so I would give doting dad the same advice that I gave them. I said, look, if your child is of the age where they, where they are asking questions, my simple response would be, this is a celebration of people that may or may not be different from us or similar to us, right? I don't know I don't know the dynamic of this child and the parent and their orientation, what the child's already been exposed to or not, etc. So I would simply explain it as this is a celebration for people to show their art, to enjoy music, to get some great food. It's a wonderful festival where everyone comes together just to celebrate love. And that's
I
it.
love it.
I don't think the conversation has to go any deeper than that until the child gets to that stage in their life where they start to ask more detailed or deeper questions. But it's a wonderful, expression of love. And we get to enjoy music and dancing and art and different people performing, etc.
That's great. I love that you have experience with it. So definitely love that piece of advice for doting dad. And what about you, Wynn?
Yeah. So, for all of our listeners out there who don't know, I actually have an expertise in LGBTQI plus youth school experience. I was a researcher. And so, the average coming out age is becoming earlier and earlier. So like I think on average now people can come out as LGB or Q in some aspects by like, early developmental milestones of puberty. Like, I'm talking like 10, 11, 12, and people can understand their gender identity as early as age of 3 or 4. So I think people coming to Pride, like, those youth themselves are encountering role models, encountering what it looks like to live in an inclusive, diverse society. So it's not just for parents who want, or caretakers or relatives who want their youth, their family members to come and see this and kind of have like a more culturally rounded exposure. It's also for themselves. Like there are middle schoolers at Pride who identify as LGBTQIA plus. And so I think it's just as much their event as it is the adults.
Definitely.
Can I add? I add a little bit more?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that if I had this conversation with a younger sibling of mine many years ago when they went to Pride Festival with me, and if they're old enough to understand, I think it's also important to. Subsequently, I also had it with my parents, but I think it's important to let them know, hey, Pride is a riot, and it started off as one. And understanding the history of Pride festivals, parades, and why we have them is super important to, like you said, not only their understanding, but to their growth as individuals as well, to understand and to recognize that we are celebrating something here, and it's our right to exist and coexist with everyone else in society that may look or feel different than we are. And so that would be maybe a little bit more of an advanced conversation for an older child, but letting them know why we're there, if they can comprehend that, why not?
Definitely.
Stephan, your guidance?
Yeah. So I think is like Freddie said, we're not sure of the situation if the child is identifying as LGBT or Q, anything like that. But I think from my perspective, if there was a child that's interested or I would like to take my child, I kind of would just take them, give them a little bit of like a explanation as to what it is. It's people coming to celebrate their, culture, their lifestyle, and all the things that make them who they are. And each person brings a different part of that to Pride. So mainly, I think I would just kind of make it very like general to begin with, and then kind of let them experience it with their own eyes and ask questions as they go and give the answers as I see fit, or and after the whole experience is over, then kind of get a rundown and see what they thought, see if there's any other questions they have, if they want to dive a little bit deeper, just so that they can get their whatever's on their mind out. That might help them to understand what's going on and what it is a little bit more.
I love that.
Yeah.
So our third Fabby, this is our third and final Fabby, concerned contributor. So they want to explore some less expensive but effective ways to support LGBTQIA plus rights. They're concerned about combating rising violence in the community, but also they're worried that traditional donations don't always effectively fund nonprofit advocacy work. And so they're wondering, how do I know my money's really going to supporting Pride? How do I help in a way that's cost effective? They're concerned contributor.
Yeah, and Freddie started last time, so let's start with Anthony for this one.
Well, thank you. I guess I would say is for them to do the research on which organizations they're contributing to, and look at their history and their mission and all the things that they're involved with. Like the Human Rights Campaign and helping push legislation through and what have you. I mean, I just think that my best advice would be to just do your research and follow the money and see where everything's going. All nonprofits are open books. So, that's what my advice would be to them.
Yeah. Okay. And any ideas on a less expensive but effective way to support the LGBT rights and combat, violence, whatnot?
Well, obviously the number one would be just to volunteer and get out there and be involved and be active and make those relationships and see action happening. So join marches, join the community groups, and I mean, I've done that for years, and it's very impactful. Even just the sense of being in a march. I mean, during our marriage equality days, wow, there was just so much going on with that. We were out on the streets every single night in West Hollywood, So I just would say, get out there and be involved at least at that level.
Great. All right. And then how about you, Freddie? Less expensive ways to support, and also, the donations and how to see effectively.
I think you guys pretty much summarize the best ways. I mean, we have activism, getting involved, right? Getting involved, helping uplift our voice and making our voices heard. You have volunteerism with other organizations such as Henderson Pride, Las Vegas Pride, etc. And then you have you should carry out some kind of due diligence on the organizations that you are looking to give money to. A lot of people don't know that nonprofit organizations have to make their financial records available to the public. And so if you're looking to see what's being done with your dollars, you can request a record or a copy of those records, and you can see where the monies are being spent within your community, or if they're being, contributed to other efforts outside of your community, and then determine how you feel the best about that. So my best advice would be activism, volunteerism, due diligence in your financial support or giving. And then lastly, make sure that your voice is heard through educating the public in whichever capacity you can, but also voting. Voting is such an important factor in terms of turning the tide against the violence within our communities and to the members of our community. By allowing individuals in Congress or their respective Congresses in their states to enact legislation that perpetuates hate and violence and fear of all of us within our community, we're not doing ourselves any favors. We're allowing it to happen. So again, get involved through activism, volunteer with your organizations, conduct your due diligence with any donations or monetary giving that you want to give, and then also vote and vote for your own rights. There is no reason that we should have had 240 pieces of legislation that went against our community across this country last year, 100 of which were against trans people by themselves, alone. So again, get active, vote, make our voices heard, and help us with our efforts to uplift our community's voice.
I love that. And my piece that I'll just add is a lot of people might not know that you can have like matching in kind donations to stretch your dollar even further. So like your workplace may match, or another organization may match, or you can set up like a group sort of fundraising pact of, I'm going to donate while other people donate. And you can also donate to very specific things. So you can say like, oh, I need these donor dollars to go to a specific function of an organization. And so that way you can really kind of have more certainty that, you're having the impact you want. And of course, volunteering is the freest way to help.
Yeah. And voting. I love that one. And I think with all that, like, it's pretty much covered. So I echo everything you guys said.
Perfect. You took the easy way out, Stephan.
That's why I went last.
It's okay. Hey, we all have our part. So,
Right.
Speaking of which, this has been part 3 of the mini series of Pride, which is now concluded. So if you are interested in learning more about any of the information shared during today's podcast, or the organizations who have so kindly volunteered their time to be here today, then check out the links provided in the description. We always bring the receipts. Our references are there.
And so don't forget to also tune into next month's mini-series for our coming out edition. Also, of course, don't forget to follow us, subscribe, like, share, engage, and most importantly, stay fabulous.